Hello, everyone. I'm Shelly Dressel, and welcome to tonight's channel. I channel a number of different energies, high vibrational energies, and tonight is what I call the ULBs, which stands for Universal Light Beings. I have Albayon that originally came from Arcturus, Brysentia came from the Pleiades, and then Crystallia came from the Omniverse. I have been working with all of these guys for at least 8 or 9 years now, and they are here to help with this transition of that's taking place on Earth as we shift into the higher vibration, as we're clearing out all of that negativity and all of the old energy. And this time of awakening is it can be very, very turbulent for a lot of people. And for any of us that, there's some people that I know listen to this consistently, and you've been there for many, many, many years. And there are other people that might just be learning about this right now. And no matter where you are in this process of awakening, this process of understanding what has been and what we're moving into, you still go through a time that feels like trauma. And I feel as if right now there's a lot that's going on in terms of the whole planet. And that's why it just feels like there's trauma right now. So anyway, we do know that there's a lot of change that's taking place, and we just got to hang in there. But I do feel as if the universal beings give us that higher perspective. They're not talking to us about, they absolutely connect with us on the vibration where we are, but they're not looking at it from the place of an ego. They're looking at it from the universal perspective, which is a higher vibration, which is a light energy. And therefore it sometimes gives us something that is just a new perspective, which is how I like to look at it. So tonight is the first time. I got so spoiled with Alexander where he would just post the questions over for me. So the ones that people sent into the website, I have up at the top. So when we get to that place of questions, and I think there was one already there too. When we get to that place of questions, I'll just scroll up and try to move them over, and then I'll try to scan through. But I don't know how it's going to work out. I trust that it's all going to be good, because I did this for a couple of years or a year and a half before Alexander came along and helped me out. So if there are people that are here in the live, maybe even once a month, I do this, about twice a month, every couple of weeks or so. If there's anyone that does want to help out with that, I'd really appreciate it. But send me an email, Shelly at crystallinetransformations.com, and we can chat. But otherwise, I'm going to do this, and I'm intending that it's all going to be good. So if this is your first time watching something like this channel tonight, and by channel, I mean the channeling of information, tends to be kind of long, like an hour and a half or something like that. So you can leave, come back, you can listen to it later, whatever it is that works for you. I myself when I'm channeling, I don't often remember a lot of what was said, so I'll go back and listen to it again later, and then I just pick up things that are different. And I think that happens for a lot of people, because you kind of get your mindset, or you might go down a little rabbit hole or something like that. And then when you come back in, you're like, oh, what are they talking about now? So it's a lot of information, and it's very fast paced. And I do the best I can. But I truly, truly appreciate all of you that have been here for so very long. I truly appreciate that we have had such I don't know, I just knocked something over. Okay, there it is. I truly appreciate that this community is here. I mean, we're here to support one another. We're here to be a part of this ascension process. So it's, and I know how often people say to me, well, I just want to have someone that I can talk to. So, here's a chance to connect with people. And again, I really appreciate all of you. And if you're new, if this is something that you're interested in, then please don't forget to click like or subscribe or whatever it is that you may need to do. I tend to stream this on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. So just the different platforms. I got taken off of YouTube 2 years ago, and so for a long time there, I didn't stream there. But I think things are changing a little bit, and so now I just do the whole thing on YouTube, and fingers crossed, it all goes well. So, looking at everyone here, greetings from Denmark. Nice to see you. Australia, Melbourne. Nice to see you. Central Pennsylvania. You see, I love this because it's a worldwide community. This is just great. I know Judy is from Atlanta, Australia. Another one from Australia. So it's just lovely, Blue. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And then Chicago. Great to see you. Thank you. And a couple of questions in there again. I think that Calgary. Awesome. So many of these places, I look at them and I think, I want to go there someday. I want to go there someday. I have put out for a very long time that I just want to go around the world. There's so many places to see, so much to do. Quebec, good to have you. Nice to see you there. Kim, great to see you too. Kim's also from my general area. Okay, now I could get easily distracted because I love talking to people. I love meeting people. And Jill, of course, yep. Stinson Beach, good to see you. And hi to Ed also. Okay, I have to block that for a second here. I'm just going to get quiet. Greetings, it is I, Crystallia. I come to you at this time because as Shelly was speaking a little bit at the very beginning about these changes that are taking place on the planet, I wanted to come here at the very beginning while everybody's still fresh and listening and just talk about these changes that are happening. I mentioned the last time that we got together that I had been back over to you can call it the omniverse, the multiverse, different universe. There's lots of different words that reflect where I have come from. And I just wanted to see what was going on there. And several messages, I received several messages. When I got back there, I have my family. I have, the places where I lived, where I spent my time. Because I've now spent so much time in my consciousness here, everything back there seemed very different. I had lived for what you would call centuries, or maybe, centuries, in that one general area, just learning, experiencing, having whatever it was that was going on for me. And then I came here. It was totally new, totally different. I was a little anxious, I'll be sure to say that. But now that I'm here, I so admire humanity. I admire the strength that you have. I admire the determination that you have. I admire the resilience that humanity has. Being physical, because we're not physical, being physical creates a totally, totally different dimension. It creates a totally different way of living, and I have nothing but respect and admiration, and that's one of the biggest things I learned. So then when I take that back and I go back, I'm like, oh boy, where's your body? And we do have bodies and we do manifest bodies, but we tend to stay more in a state of consciousness. So that was a big difference to see that contrast, because when you are in a position or you're living an experience, you don't necessarily think of everything all the time. You get focused on where you are, and you sometimes forget either where you came from or what your family is. And I'm sharing all of this with you because I'm pretty sure that every one of you could say the same thing at one point or another in your life. The other thing that I realized when I was over there is that not only is the Earth and then all of this galaxy changing, which is leading to the universe changing, but that's a ripple effect that is going out into other universes. I can feel such a contrast where there are still several universes that are experiencing life as that lower vibration. It is not what you have here. So as I was kind of tapping into these different places, it was like, woo, very, very much a shock to the system. But also because I've been working so much with planet Earth and the other beings that are out here and these other planets that are in this area, it gave me an ability to be able to go from place to place and recognize what I am seeing. Because another thing that happens to people is you get to be a certain vibration and you don't see what's around you. Now, this could be said for both those low vibration and high vibration. People that are stuck in a rut, people that are stuck in an energy and they just can't seem to get out of it and they're going again and again and again and again, then there may be brilliant light and love and potentials all around it, but they don't see it because they're so focused. The same can be said as those of a higher light vibration. They may decide, I don't want to, I feel bad when I go down into a low vibration. I don't want to go there again. So this is what I experienced on my travels in the last couple of weeks. Of course, I stretched time, space, reality, but my message to you all is to remember that everyone is on their journey. Everyone has a path. They've all had various experiences. Some people have very traumatic experiences. Some people seem to just glide along. And it doesn't really matter what the individual's experience has been, because it's just that they are who they are. But I do know 100% is that every single person on earth has a direct line, a direct access into your soul. And when we start looking at you as your soul, then suddenly the gates are wide open. This is where I see all of the love, the light, the vibration, the frequency that is so similar to where I came from. And there, your soul itself has many different levels and dimensions within it. So there is that part that you most often connect with. And then there is that part that is part of the omniverse. And so your soul is a truly magnificent being, you could say, and it is your soul that makes you unique and different from everybody else. And it is your soul that came directly from the central sun. So that is where God birthed self, if you want to call it that. There's many, many, many different theories, and I've seen a lot of them that you have. But I do want to say that there is a central sun out in the midst of everything, and that is where all of life originated. And then life forms have varied and changed and transitioned and mutated so many times one couldn't even count them. But be aware that being a person, having a soul, having the experiences that you have, the ability to choose, the ability to have free will, those are gifts that not everybody has. So I would invite each one of you, as you're listening to this, to kind of think about your life. Are you thinking critically? Are you thinking of ways that are outside of the box? Are you thinking of things in a way that is the better good, not only for yourself, but everyone around you? And the reason why I say this is we're at a critical point in this ascension process. First and foremost, the ascension has happened. Secondly, the ascension is going to continue to happen, and it's going to drag more and more and more and more people in with it. There are many that keep saying, well, just give us the blast and transition everything and let's get over and done with it. And I see that a lot. I hear that a lot. And there have been multiple blasts that the earth has received, some very distinctive and some that are a lot more subtle. But what is happening is that you as humanity are receiving these impulses that are awakening you through your DNA, that are awakening you to the many different potentials you have. So make that choice to look ahead, make that choice to look around, make that choice to understand not only who you are, but how everything is integrated with one another. Because this is a gift to you, this life that you have. And the more that you can create from it, not only is it the better off that you will be, but also the more that you are going to support not only yourself, but everyone around you. Which leads me to my next little bit that I want to say. And that is, what is your phrase? What is your phrase? No man is an island. So often in this society, what I have seen people want to achieve is independence. I want to be strong. I want to be independent. I want to do everything myself. I don't want to depend on other people. But here's the thing. you have the gift of humanity. You have the gift and the ability to not only have relationships with people, but to know that you are experiencing your strength, your independence, your awareness through relationships with others. There are many, many, many people on this planet that are alone and they feel that loneliness. Some people do not feel that loneliness because that is what they have sought to achieve. And so I do not judge one way or the other, but I say this because I know there are so many people that are looking for other people, that are looking for someone that can just see them, just get them. I'm sure that there have been times in your life when you thought, they just don't get me. They don't understand where I'm coming from. I feel so different and isolated. Well, I'm here to say that especially in this higher, lighter vibration, it is going to be easier for you to connect with other people because right now you're in the midst of dismantling still. And as you well, it's so hard to say because over here in this section you're dismantling everything still, but right beside it and coming up behind it you have been building and building and building a new reality, a new life, a new experience on earth. So in all the midst of this dismantling, remember that everything has been right here and it's already been created, and it's up to you to then take it to the next step, whether that's you taking it to the next step in your personal life or interactions with others. That can reflect differently in many different ways. But understand that you are all here. You are magnificent beings, and it takes great strength to do what you have done. So accept that for yourself, honor yourself with that reality, and then look around at the people around you and reach out that hand if you need to, or receive the hand that is reached out to you, because you are all here with the intention of supporting one another, being part of a bigger community, and let that community be the whole of who you are. Whew, I felt a little bit like a bandstand on that one, but these were just messages that were so clear to me, especially after coming from a place where we didn't, we all understood the community of souls. We all understood the strength in one another, and it didn't have to come across in the same way that I see humanity doing it. Now, is that because of your ego? Perhaps so. But it doesn't matter what or where. It's just that I see in society that you guys are here, and it's a wonderful way for you to reach out, not only in support of each other, but then receiving it back for you. Okay, I had one last thing I wanted to do. I oftentimes will come into this space and speak about love. So as all of these changes are coming about, as all of this transition continues to take place on the earth plane, I would invite you to take time and remember love. You are love. Love is the foundation for the fifth dimension. So I invite everyone to just be quiet for a second. Close your eyes if you want to. Take in a really deep breath. And as you breathe in this breath of air and light, feel as if you are literally breathing love down within you. Some may see it as pink. Some may see it as golden, as light, whatever it is that resonates with you. But take in that big, deep breath of love and let it flow all up and down through you, letting go of whatever no longer resonates, letting go of anything that's pulled you down. And then as you're breathing out, send love to everyone around you. Yes, we are here. We are here. And it is very, very exciting to be a part of all of this. Okay, so does anyone have questions for me? I know it's kind of crazy, but there were none that were left on the website this morning when Shelly went looking for it. So are there any questions that people have that want to ask? Oh, shoot. Sorry, we can't really do what happened when my brother fell because that's too much into an individual, and this is more of the broad energy. Okay. Well, I'm just going to reach out to the consciousness and see if there are questions that people are thinking about, and I'll see if I can pick up on one or two, but otherwise, we'll just move on. Okay, one of the questions I heard is, can you tell us more about our star beings? What is a hybrid? What is a star being? What are we all a part of the universe, or just some of us a part of the universe? The vast majority of humanity, sorry, Shelley's trying to remind herself. The vast majority of humanity that is living here at this time, that's able to move through this ascended process, are star beings. When they talk about someone that's a hybrid, in the very distinct way of understanding that, it's like they're looking at their DNA as, you know, some of this is human, but some of this is not human, and that they have different abilities, or they look different, or they look like ETs but in human form. So a hybrid, and that is one definition of it. But each one of you, I know Brysentia likes to talk about DNA, but each one of you have your history stored within your DNA. And the DNA is that which is your blood. It's that which makes you human. It's that which makes you the individual that you have. There's all that that's common, but then there's that which makes you the person that you are. It is within that DNA that you have your link out to the universe. So for the vast majority of you, it is just dormant right now. When the vibration gets to a certain degree, then people are able to activate their universal self, if you want to call it that. But here's the other thing. There are many, many of you that work consciously. You work consistently at, what is it, meditation, raising your vibration, opening to higher consciousness. And for those individuals, there's a good chance you've already accessed, if not all of the DNA that's available to you. Then at least you've opened the door, and it does come in bits and pieces, or a lot. And so when we speak about, what do you call it, about hybrids or intergalactic and stuff like that, it is through this consciousness, and it is through you going into your soul and saying, show me my galactic self. Those are the ways in which you can receive information. And when you tap into that, it comes into you and it stimulates cellular memory. And that's how you become more acclimated into this higher frequency. There are many people that consider themselves hybrid, and I'm not to say yes or no about that. To me, the key here is that you all have the potential. It's about, have you activated it or not? And when you go into your meditation, especially as you communicate through your soul, and you say, am I from a particular planet in the universe? Then you'll start to get your answer. Many of you have been in multiple different planets because you're bringing that variety of information, vibration, frequency into this now moment. So as this gets activated, that may also be something that you experience. So yes, everybody has a galactic self. I was looking at this because as I was thinking that, is there anyone that is just purely human that has never been out? And it feels like there's like less than 1/2 of 1/2 of 1%. It feels like, yes, I can say there are some that are born on the earth, of the earth, and it feels like they're kind of the stone people. What is it like the earth itself is made up of stones and rocks and things like that. So these feel like that have animation and soul. I'm not describing it very well because I haven't really had much contact with that. But I would say, of those of you, especially listening to this, and of the majority of people on the planet, you have access to the universal energy, and that is a part of you. Okay. Please explain the Schumann resonance. I see often how I see it often, but have no clue or the realm of how to read it or work with it. Okay, so Brysentia may be a little bit better, so I'm kind of calling her in to help with this. Um, this is where Shelly doesn't really filter. There's a question, we'll put it out there. But anyway, the Schumann resonance, as I'm aware of it, is a mechanism that was developed many, many, many years ago, and it measures the vibration of the earth. And when I'm talking maybe perhaps as much as 200 years ago in Earth time. So it measures the vibration of the earth. And as it's measuring the vibration, what is happening is that it is reflecting anything that is coming into the earth. For example, the solar flares, the coating that is coming down, the cellular coating, or even if there is a shift in consciousness, say, for example, when there was warfare, say, for example, when there was a nuclear bomb or something like that. So it reflects things that are happening to the consciousness of the earth. That's my understanding. Now then, as you're looking at it, there are several people out there that explain it very, very well. But when they're looking at it, the number as the frequency, this is something Brysentia is dropping in. For example, in 2020, 2021, something like that, the Schuman resonance was like 23. Just giving you a number because that's the frequency that it reflected. Now, consistently, it reflects 65, 75. So in other words, you can see that the vibration that was reflected was much lower 3 or 4 years ago than what it is now. So now you're seeing it reflected as a much higher frequency that's a part of the earth. As to what the graphs show, it can actually show you when impulses of light are coming in. It can show you, like, there'll be certain things where there's a big pause in it, and it's like Earth is taking a deep breath in and then breathing out. So for the people there, I'm sure there must be courses and things online, but the Schumann resonance is a very, very powerful tool to help people understand in a mathematical way or a scientific way what is going on with the planet. And to me, it's something that has a pretty close reflection. I know there's one that Shelly likes to listen to, Consciously Aaron, and she talks about it. She's on every single morning, sometimes twice a day, and she's got a great way of explaining it. So that might be something that you guys can look for if you haven't heard of her. But again, there are many other people too. Okay. I noticed this past month that I have tiny pin marks on my right hand that have appeared out of nowhere. Looks like tiny bite marks. Is this something from when I am asleep and my soul leaves? Shoot. Okay, I'm gonna hide that. Please, I hope that Brysentia will find it because I don't really know what it is because I don't know enough. My take on it is that it has to do with, okay, I'm just going to go ahead because Brysentia is talking through me. It has to do with the way that your body changes during the night. When you're asleep, there is a change in the vibration and frequency of your body. There is a part of your consciousness, what they talk about your dream sleep, that goes out. And sometimes it might go out into the universe. It might go to another part of the planet. And sometimes what's happening is you are leaving your physical body and another part of your soul is coming into you. It's like there's a swap of energy, and it may last just while you're asleep. But again, be aware. Sorry, this is Brysentia talking. So be aware that when this is going on, that time-space reality becomes completely different. So you may think you're asleep for 7 or 8 hours at night or something like that, but in true time-space reality, you may be out of your body for 8 hours, 12 hours a day, something like that. But there's another part of your soul that comes in. Have you guys ever had times when you feel disoriented, like, who am I? What's going on? I feel so different today. Or I got a great night's sleep, but I am so exhausted I can hardly move. These are things that are showing that during your sleep state, you were either getting upgrades or you left your body. And sometimes you're leaving your body to go learn something on Albayon ship and some of the other ships that surround the planet. Sometimes you go there to teach others. Sometimes you go there to learn from others. Sometimes you may go to just another part of the planet to just have a particular experience that either your soul needs you or you are asking to have a greater understanding. So many, many things are going on during your sleep state, and these are but a few of the ways. So these little marks that you're talking about, when most often there is no mark or anything that is left on the body when you wake up in the morning. So I can only guess, as I'm tapping into this person, is that perhaps whether it's conscious or unconscious, you said, give me a sign so that I know that I'm actually working when I'm asleep at night, so that I actually know what's going on. And those little marks on your hand, it feels as if that's what was happening. It feels as if what's the word I want to use? It feels as if you just wanted proof that this was going on, and that was the proof that you were seeking, because it was a change from when you went to sleep and when you woke up in the morning. Your physical body stayed there, but there was a shift in consciousness and a shift in your awareness. Super cool, isn't it? All right. Well, especially this is Crystallia again, especially since Brysentia took over with that, I'm just going to go ahead and let her come in and let her do her part. Thank you so very much for listening to me. Remember, it is all about love. Remember that your life is a gift. Remember that everyone is here in support of one another. Beloved, I am ever with you. Ansaluia. Greetings. It is I, Brysentia. Woo! Such a time. Such a time. Let me think here for a minute. I'm the reason it's taken me a minute to kind of download and acclimate into this is because I was working, I was blended with Crystallia, and I could still feel her energies in. Now, I know that she works with many of you, and I know that many of you have felt her energy as it moves through you. I just have to say, I haven't felt her merged with me as much as that was, and it's a beautiful experience. She is a really, really beautiful energy. So, so anyway, it's taken me a minute to come into myself. What did I want to talk about when I got here? This summer, there is summer or winter, depending on where you live. This time, June, July, August, is a time of heavy, heavy transitions on the earth. You are going to be hearing a lot of things in the news. You're going to be hearing a lot of things politically, but what's also going to be happening is this continued transition of the earth. And how is that reflected as flooding, as hurricanes, as tornadoes, as earthquakes, what are those lavas, volcanoes? It just feels a lot of things that they call natural disasters are going to be happening. And much of this is happening because it is a way of continuing to clear the past energy that the earth had absorbed. And it's also a way of helping to raise the vibration of the earth, because as it's clearing out all of these many, many things, it's allowing this higher vibrational frequency to become much more integrated in the earth. So these are why it's important to speak about this for a minute. Now, the thing that comes up to so many of you whenever we come into something like this is, well, is HAARP still having an effect on things? And who has charge of HAARP? And is it the nefarious ones? Is it the alliance or the good guys, whatever it is that you want to call them? So let me take a minute and look at that, because I have a sense of what the answer is, but let me just take a look channeling wise and see if there are messages about this that I want to speak about. So HAARP is anchored in 3 or 4 places around the planet. It feels like Alaska, China, Northern Europe. It's like this zigzag as you're kind of going around the planet, some at the top of the planet, some at the bottom of the planet. And this is feeling to me as if it's there as a means of stabilizing the planet, but it can also be a means of manipulating the planet. Now, this has actually been in place for probably 50 to 60 years or longer. And it all comes back to who's running it, who's working with it. So there are still ways. Okay, so we have these major places where they have the primary CERN, not CERN, that's not the word I'm using. That's in Switzerland. I'm talking about the, please share, because it's kind of gone out of my mind. Anyway, sorry. This is just one difference. When Shelly's trying to read and still be in this energy, it makes it a little harder to stay in the deep channel. HAARP, there's the word. Thank you. Anyway, so these machines that are associated with HAARP are in several specific areas that are stationary, but satellites play off of them. And it is through the satellites and the manipulation of the satellites that people will see different changes to their weather patterns. So some of them are still able to be either initiated or manipulated by those that you refer to as the nefarious ones. But the vast majority of them are actually able to then come behind, and with those that are still trying to neutralize what we see. Like, I'm just going to look at it as a snapshot right now, and then I'm going to look at it as a snapshot like 1 year ago and 2 years ago. When I look at it right now, I see 98, 90, maybe 95% of it is the people that are in support of the planet. When I looked at that a year ago and 2 years ago, it was vast majority were the nefarious ones, and they were doing it deliberately. And some of these things were programmed sometimes months in advance and years in advance. And even if those individuals were taken out and like rounded up or something like that, it was still programmed, and so they still did that. Now, what does HAARP do? It works with the vibration, it works with the ley lines of the planet, and it taps into that and it amplifies. They like pump into it something that is going to disrupt that area. What else is going on? There are many places around the world, the dumbs, as you've been aware of for many years. There are many places around the world where they are still taking out the dumbs. And what does that mean? Blowing them up, collapsing them. There are many of them that are still going to remain, but they're going to transition and be used for things that are for the betterment of people. But as some of these are getting blown up, and as it's changing, the areas around it, then that can also trigger sometimes a tsunami. It can sometimes trigger an earthquake. It can sometimes trigger many different things. And sometimes what's going on is that a dome is being exploded, but and they call it an earthquake because the earth is changing. So these are some of the things that are going on by HAARP. And so as I'm looking at it right now, I feel as if there are many that are part of the alliance that understand and recognize that these ley lines and these vibrational frequencies that are a part of the earth need to go through a transition. And so say, for example, was it last year that they had that big hurricane off of the east coast of the US? That was 100% started by and gave a lot of energy from the nefarious ones. But then those, like many of you that were working with energy, so the people that were working with the energy, and then the people that were the alliance would go in and try to pull out some of that energy, trying to downgrade it so it wasn't as much. And they were successful the majority of the time. But these are things that are happening all over the planet. So that being said, that does not mean that every single thing that happens is a result of this. If you look at the normal cycles of your planet, you always have had hurricanes. You've always had fires. You've always had volcanoes. You've always had these experiences. What HAARP does is it comes behind and it amplifies, or it takes something that might have been nothing and makes it into something big. So this is how it works on normal trends of the planet, and just accentuating it. So let's look at this year. Let's look at this summer. It does feel as if there's still things. We do know for sure that Australia has had a lot of rain and flooding. We see, I see rain and flooding in various parts of Europe. I see it I see it basically because as I'm going like just across the globe and looking at these various countries, I actually see a lot of rain and a lot of flooding all over the place. So if this is happening to you, then my heart goes out to you, because if you get flooded, it is a very traumatic and a very hard experience. But as a planet, as the whole, we just keep sending energy of balance. And that's what I would ask each one of you to do. If you see these things happening, send in the energy, send in the intention of balance, that it will help to neutralize things through finding greater balance. Okay, so that was talking about HAARP. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is the transition in people that is taking place. There are going to be, I thought that, well, there was a lot that came out this month of June, or the past month of June, but it feels like that was just kind of opening up the doorway, and it feels like that's going to get to be more and more and more in the months to come, especially in July. I just feel, and I cannot give you specific dates and specific times, but I just feel like June, July, August is a time of a great amount of exposure, a great amount of coming out of the closets of things that have been going on. And that when that happens, then it's going to really, really, really awaken a lot of humanity. So I see that there are a lot of people this summer that feel as if they're traumatized. They feel as if they just don't understand what's going on. And so here's two things that I would ask you to consider. First of all, consider when they had those movies, The Matrix, and we've talked about this, that type of mind control that went on for so very, very, very long, that is very legitimate, and huge numbers of people that came from other parts of the universe that were accustomed to, what do you call it, like a collective consciousness that had a big impact on their lives, that they were part of that collective consciousness. That's what they lived. So as a soul essence, that's what they were accustomed to. So then they drop down into the earth plane. They have this experience on earth, and they're accustomed to having that type of I don't even call it mind control, because it's not being controlled. It's a mind connection. And so suddenly here you have these nefarious ones that are controlling people and manipulating people, and they know how to tap into that, and they take advantage of it. So that's why these people, that when they awaken, they're going to feel like, what the heck? I'm only living the way I'm supposed to live. That's how it will feel to them. So just be aware that it's not just that they've been sheeple. It's not just that they've allowed themselves to be controlled. Some of this is actually a cellular strain that goes all the way back out to the universe, and that comes from other planets. And that's a reality. The second thing that kind of comes along with this is that we've talked countless times about how your intention affects everything around you. So really, really, really pay attention to when you see these things going on. The nefarious ones are still out there, and they are still working with putting out negativity. They're trying to scare you. They keep amplifying things that would be harmful for the whole planet and for humanity. So remember that that's going on. And no matter what you hear, no matter where it comes from, disconnect from it. So how do you disconnect? You just look at something, you read it, and you say, okay, I'm going to choose to disconnect. And it's like you cut a cord, you cut the chains, you cut whatever energy is pulling you into that, causing you to get caught up in that. And by doing so, what is going to happen to you is you're not giving it that energy. You're aware of what's being said. And there may be times you need to pay attention to that and you need to do things, but you're disconnecting from all of that fear and anxiety. And therefore it's allowing you to stand in a much better place of balance, in a much better place of awareness, so that you can be who you are, so that you can be in that place of living at the highest vibration possible. So those were just kind of my thoughts about what's going on this summer, and how each of you can be in the best place to experience that. Okay, let me scoot. I'm going to go way up here to the beginning because I know they posted a question for me. Albayon. Let's see. Brysentia. Did Zohran Mamdamdoni, the New York mayoral candidate, have ties to Obama when Obama was alive? This individual is wreaking a lot of havoc. Let me look at him. He is someone that is there for a reason. There have been multiple different people, if you look back over the last 5 to 10 to 15 years, that are from these radical Muslims, and he is just the latest in a long line of this. He's very clear on his intention of what he wants to do. He's very much connected to Obama. He's very much supported by the nefarious ones. And to me, as I'm looking at this, it feels like a huge wake-up call. How many wake-up calls does New York need to be able to finally put down their foot and say, we're Americans. We are going to stand with America. We're going to stand with the laws that support Americans. It does not even feel like he's a legal alien. I'm sure that they've got whatever documentation they need that it gives you that illusion that he's a legal alien, but it does not feel like he is to us. So this feels to me, as I'm looking at the energy of it and as I'm looking at what's going on there, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Atlanta, all of these major big cities around the United States have always said, we're here to show every potential. You know, we're here about diversity. We're here to show people that that this is what life is. And so that's one reason why many of these cities have the most what's the word I want to use? They have the most unusual type of parades and people, and they get many people that are radicalized, whether they grew up that way or became that way later on. But this is why you see it in some of these big cities. Okay. Now, coming back around, this also feels like there are, whereas before there would be many people that just, oh, I'm not political, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to have nothing to do with it. It feels like everything that has happened with Biden and then Trump coming in has forced people to at least pay attention, to at least make some decisions or understand what's been going on in the world and what's been going on in your country. So now you're taking that the next level down, and this feels like it's just a huge wake-up call to New York City, because it's all of these major cities have in the past been very glorious, beautiful cities that people really flourished. And looking at all of them now, it's like there's an overlay, and that overlay is going to be cleared out. It is going to change, but this feels like it's a big wake-up call, forcing people to pay attention, forcing people to come out and talk about things. And so it just feels like that's a big part of that. Let's just ask the question, then let me get back in here. Is he going to win? We feel like if he wins, it's because they cheated. And we just don't think we don't think first and foremost it's going to get that far. But if it does go down, it's because people are subverging. People are keeping the true and authentic New Yorkers from having their say. They are putting in fake ballots. They're putting in fake people, and so all of this is ready to come out. And this is just one of the ways that more truth is going to come out for humanity. Whew. Okay, got that. There was another one up here before we started. Let me go ahead and show that one. Oh, this is for Albayon. Well, I'm just going to look at it. Let's see. June exposed millions of proud gay people. Why does it seem like there are so many gay people, and does homosexuality exist on other planes? And what is the attitude towards homosexuality? Homosexuality has been a part of humanity on the earth for thousands and thousands of years. Many of the Romans were homosexuals. Many of the the Renaissance were homosexuals. So this is not something that's new. It's not something new to this time frame. It's something that has been a pattern that has gone throughout history. Okay. The vast majority of the time, the way that the information that I'm getting from the universe and the way that it's looked at is that if this is something that is consensual and it is something that is just within the people that are, that make that choice, then they do not see it as aberrant, as wrong. But they've always been a very small proportion, and it feels as if it is still a small proportion, but that these images that you've been seeing, it's been a lot of focus from the media, it's been a lot of focus from the nefarious ones, and it's been a lot of AI imagery that makes you think that it is a much higher percentage than what it is. If it were only that, then obviously you would not have humanity, so it's always been around, but it's always been a small proportion. But there are different times in which it's been frowned upon, different times in which it's been okay, and this is just like that. But this is all looking at the earth. Let me look out to the universe and see what most other cultures do not have that experience. I can see that there are maybe one or two planets out there, a very, very small portion that do have that experience. And it feels as if there might be one that is just all of that. And they all know, they go in there, they have that experience. They don't intend to have children. They don't procreate. And so it's the experience of being in that type of a relationship. But it is a small minority. Even at this time, it is a small minority, if at all, out in the universe. I'd have to say 99%, yeah, is the number that just went through my mind, out in the universe. Okay, there, I got those done. I knew there were some way up there. Let's see. Let's see. We have a horrendous government in Australia. Can you share if you see any changes or common sense coming into that? Australia has really, really struggled. I've seen it. Albayon has talked about it. Crystallia has talked about it. We all see that. I do remember, I believe it was me that talked about how I saw the native people, we're talking about the Aborigines, and how they are beginning to rise and they're shifting the vibration upward. So I do know, just because I know that the entire planet has to move into the higher frequency because it's here. And you cannot have whole continents just disappearing because they're all a low vibration. So yes, they will change. The question is it going to be continued slow and challenging, or is it going to finally flip and go? As I'm looking at Australia right now, there's so much more light than there used to be. It used to be that it was very little, if any, light. And I know that there were many times that the nefarious ones were building domes and building places inside the planet around that area. So there were a lot of the nefarious ones that lived in that area, and they got away with it because they paid great deal of money to the people that were in charge. And again, corruption goes back 100 years. 85 to 100 years is what I'm seeing. So, and of course, at the US, it's been more like 150, 160 years. This is what we've said over and over and over again, is that these nefarious ones are always in here for the long haul, and they make plans like 150, 75 years in advance. And that's why it's a very hard ship to stop and turn around. When I'm looking at Australia, I feel as if the really top people that were the worst have been taken out. And if they still seem like they're living, then they're either living there as, what do you call it? There are still some clones that they try to put out there, but they're not doing very well. But if it's someone that was taken over by the white hats, then they're there with a mask on and an actor that is playing a part. And they, as I was speaking about just a little bit ago, those people that came in with a consciousness of continuity, it feels like that energy is very much a part of Australia. And I don't know why, but maybe just a lot of these people decided to live down there. So this cracking open of the shell that was placed on Australian people and Australian humanity, that's one reason why it has been very, very, very hard. But it is cracked wide open. There is a lot more that is beginning to come out. And let me remind you that whenever you have a swell, you're building, and then whoosh, it's like suddenly you get to a certain point and everything just flows right over. And that's what I see happening with Australia. I think that as I'm looking at this, a lot of what we saw this June, July, August, all of this exposure and information that was coming out, it is going to definitely affect Australia. So as I'm looking at it, I have this very strong sense that there will be a lot of changes taking place in Australia in the remainder of this year, 2025. But I don't have a sense of them taking out these people either unless it's towards the end of the year or in the first part of next year. But that doesn't mean that there's not a lot that is going on, because to me, as I look at it, I see so much of that light energy. I see so much of that vibration. I see all of you that are so strong, and you've been staying there and holding it and saying, please, please, I can't do it anymore. Well, please keep doing it, because there's way more energy than what you realize, that this groundswell that's coming up. Okay, very cool picture. It was as if I saw the indigenous that you call the aborigines, but not just those that are living on Earth now. I saw many coming down from the stars, and I see them all around Australia, and they have those staffs, and they're pounding their staff, and it's sending out a vibration. And these are the elders. These are the ones that are creating this crack in the energy that, and I mean, it's like boom, boom, boom. And I think for those of you that are really connected, go in your meditation, go into your space, go into that area, and ask to know, ask to understand what's going on here, because it is literally something that it's just reverberating in the back of my mind, and I see them at all points on the outer, and then at many points on the inner parts of Australia. And what they're doing is on the primary continent of Australia, but we see the waves going out to those other continents and those other places that are in the ocean that are kind of surrounding that area also. These are powerful, powerful people. and they're the ones that lived down there for thousands of years, and they only kind of went underground, or they only stopped doing what they were doing because the nefarious ones just were building and building and building, and they knew it was a phase that had to take place on the planet, and they knew they would either never come back, or if they did come back, they would be needed to create the change. Ooh, I don't know if you guys can feel this, but I just feel it in my heart, this boom, boom, boom. And it's kept up 24/7. I don't know when they started it, the solstice. They started it on the solstice, and they don't tell me when it's going to be complete. They said they'll stop when it is complete, but it's been going on continuously since the solstice. And this is breaking down the stuck energy, so that the new energy and the new things, thought process and people can come out. Very, very cool. Okay. Has the sunrise and sunset changed this year? It's rising further in the north, and I did notice that the moon. Okay. So here's what's going on with that. We talked about how the poles are shifting in their vibration, and that which you called the North Pole will be on the south, and that which you call the south will be on the north. This happens every so many thousands of years, usually. Sometimes it could be like a partial shift several hundred years apart, but this is something that was going to happen, and this is why it was coordinated with the ascension of the planet. So when you're looking at your sunrise, your sunset, that perception, is there two moons or two suns? That is because of the way that the planet on its axis is literally shifting and turning in a different way than the way it sat before. And this is being impacted because of the ways in which the poles themselves are shifting. So you see it with a lot of the large animals in the ocean. You see it with the way people with their intrinsic, especially those that are the indigenous that live up in those higher places, they live off the land, they feel the land, they know the land, and they know that change is taking place. So some of these can go back and they can look through the history of their what do you call it, their communities, and they know that this is something that has happened every so often, and but they are still there, they're still paying attention, and they're still helping to anchor that. The more that there's this highlight vibrational frequency on here, the more that the nefarious get pulled off, then the more that the completion of this cycle will take place. But great question, because many people are noticing that, are they not? Okay. Okay, so someone, I think she's in Australia, says, oh, huge goosebumps, and she lives there. Glad to hear that. Okay, so I think that's all that I can see for me. I'm just going to go ahead and bring my part to a close. I thank you so very much for this opportunity to be with you, and know that you're here. It's happening. Keep the peace, keep the faith, because this is a massive change, and many other planets out in the universe are watching to see how the Earth does this. So they're doing it because of you, because you're the ones living here and having this experience. So thank you very much for this time tonight on Saluia. Greetings. It is I, Albayon. Woof. This is so interesting. We talk about energy all the time, and you guys, many of you have listened to this, and maybe it'll feel different to you. I don't know, but for the third person to come in this quickly and not have Shelly be totally drained and, oh, I've only got 5 minutes, it's fabulous. I feel like, woo-wee, we got lots to talk about and lots to say. Okay, so let me begin by talking about the disclosure. Gosh, so many things I want to talk about. Okay. Disclosure comes out in many, many different forms. Those of you that follow this and have been following this, you recognize that you don't watch the mainstream media because they're only going to either A, completely lie to you outright, or B, they'll give you bits and pieces to form together. It's like those olden days when you were writing a paper, you cut off paragraphs and you patched them together and it looked like a patchwork quilt. That's what mainstream media looks like to me. Patchwork quilt, well, we'll take this sentence, but this word, but this exclamation point, this, and they put it all together, and it's just ridiculous. I feel as if there's going to be a big shift and a big removal of many, many, many of those people because humanity, those of you, not even those of you that are listening to this, even more that are not necessarily thinking of themselves as spiritual, they're realizing that there's a bunch of junk going on and they don't agree with it, and they know that it's not authentic and it's not truthful. So big changes coming out as far as the media goes. Now, there have been some people since the bombing in Iran and the stuff going on. Let me get quiet for a second and look at Iran, Israel, and the US and see what's happening around that. Okay. 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 Here is my in the moment perception of what's been going on. I saw that bomb going in, the bombs going in where they needed to go in, and it did destroy the weapons that they needed to. However, it also destroyed DUMBs where they had kept human trafficking. It also, it was not the actual bomb, but what I saw from the energy of the bomb, and this is when I was just, reading the energy, trying to figure it out. It's like Iran is here, Israel is here, and between the two of them was the same group of people that were manipulating these guys, and so it's like the headquarters was between these two countries, making them look like they disliked each other when the truth of the matter was they were both doing the same thing in different parts of the world and wreaking havoc and bringing this out. So what I saw when I saw one of those bombs, and this is not literal because this is not physically where that took place, but it was as if I saw this center, this place where the head of these Mossad, if you want to call them that have done all of these nefarious things. I saw this bomb come straight in and it blew them up. And so whether it's metaphorical or physical, I feel as if this is taking out the last of those that were part of the nefarious ones. These are the people that lived deep in the earth. These are the ones that were aligned with the reptilians. The reptilians were just their, what do you call them? Their people that their animal, or their species that they use to do their dirty work. This is the people, this is the energies that were behind all of it and that have been controlling and manipulating this for many thousands of years. And this felt to me like it was the last bit that needed to come out. Now, with that gone, then there's no one supplying Israel with the money and the thing, because I believe there was something that said like Trump is turning on Israel or Israel's turning on, whatever. That connection between those two countries went back and was all a part of the nefarious ones working with one another. Now that they've been taken out of the United States, this is going to expose this here, and they're still keeping up the facade of what it has been until all this information can come out. And they're not going to talk about this information until they know for sure, deep in the earth, these nefarious ones have been dismantled, taken out, killed, and are no longer there. And I feel as if 99%, it got 99%, that there may be one or two more. that are scrambling, but it feels like the highest level is gone. It just feels like when I look at it, I get empty. I get nothing. So, so then these two puppets, as they were, are just going to dismantle. They're just going to fall apart. And in both countries, I feel true, authentic people are ready to rise up and to take over. But here's the key that we've been saying for so very long. They have got to expose these deep nefarious ones, and that these guys were puppets, as were the royalty, as was the government of the US, as was the government of many of these other countries around the world, Australia. And so as that information is coming out, that's going to be a very big disclosure. And I don't know when the bombing took place, 1 or 2 weeks ago. It feels as if that is very much a part of the last piece, and that when they tell it to all of humanity, it will be when we are done. They're not going to say this is going on and give them all chances to do alternatives. They're only going to talk about it when it is completely done. And that's what I feel is coming up during June, July. So it is imminent, and it's going to be complete. Okay. I feel as if the Israelis, the Palestinians, non-radical, get along with one another, and they will continue to get along with one another in the future. It feels like there will be a new government formed that is a blending of the two, and that all of that land will be recreated into something that is balanced and supports all of humanity. As I said in my mini, I see Iran rising up and becoming Persia and becoming the beautiful place that it used to be, that was taken away from it about 50 years ago, 50 or 60 years ago. Okay, so that's a big, big, big part of the disclosure. Now then, there are so many different layers and so many different levels. I know that that person that has an S in the name and then also has a D in the name, the trial is coming to an end, and as much as I had biggest hopes that they would do it without corruption, I do see some corruption around that. Now, I'm not talking about the individual, because he is 1000% corrupt. I'm talking about the way that the things are going to play out. I believe that they came back and said 4 of the 5 was guilty, but the biggest one is still under deliberation. And as I look for that, I feel like they're not going to be able to get a majority. They might be able to get a majority, but it does not feel like it'll be unanimous. It feels like there's still some ups and downs about that. And but it is a way that it has already exposed to many, many people. And do you hear all of those trying to make excuses for what went on? It's stunning. It is stunning what people will believe if they want to believe it. But this is stuff that cannot be explained away. So it is going to come out, and it is going to come out about the former presidents and everything that happened to them. And that is going to be a big part of what is being taken down. It is going to come out. Okay, so let me look. Is it going to come out in July? Strong yes that it's going to. The end of June into July, a strong yes. Now, there was something else that Shelly was asking about. The 4th of July is, of course, the Independence Day. And she was wondering, is the United States going to go back to the Republic of the United States? And that would be another way of explaining, well, this corporation has been in charge since the Civil War. That was the reason for the Civil War. And we have now removed it. But there are still people in Congress and Senate that are still part of all of that. So that has got to, they will be removed and they will be taken down, because there was absolute treason that was taking place. Now, the question is, will he bring us back to the Republic? It does not feel, it feels like he will talk about it, but it feels like these other things need to be taken out or taken care of before officially everything goes back. It feels to me, when I'm looking at Trump and the government and everything, it feels as if they are running it as the republic that it is, but it just doesn't feel like most of the Americans know what that is, and or at least a lot of Americans don't know what that is. But it's going to begin to like gain ground. Oh, we're going back to the republic. The republic. We're doing the republic. It's going to be a republic. We're returning to the republic. Start putting that into the ethers, put it into the energy, so that as people hear it, they begin to say, oh yeah, what's that about again? Oh yeah, tell me more about that. And that will be a big part of the transition. Someone had asked about what they call the big beautiful bill, and is that going to be passed? It is nowhere near what it started out as. Like when they named it the big beautiful bill, because it included so many different things, it really truly took a lot of what Doge had exposed. It was bringing up what the people of the United States had wanted, and that's what they started out. And then with the nitpicking and negotiation, it changed, but it still looked like it was filled with light. As we're looking at it completing in the Senate and going back, it does not feel like it's the same thing at all. It just feels tiny and small. So I'm just talking about it energetically. I'm not looking at all the specifics. It just feels like it's a fraction of what it used to be. And I don't know what that means. So the question is there something else that's not even been addressed as yet that's going to come out of all of this once these nefarious ones that are in these positions are taken care of? So that's a question. So what's going to happen is that the corruption is going to be shown. Many of these people are going to be taken down publicly. And once they get taken down and shown for the treason that they have committed, and with documentation of it that all of the world can see, then it's going to be, then they're going to re-put people in place, or I just feel like it's going to change up everything. And once that gets changed up, then either a new bill or something different is going to come through. And that feels like it has a lot of light. But this that they have right now, it just doesn't feel, it just feels dead or neutral. It doesn't, it just, I cannot describe, I cannot describe it. But, because, and now perhaps part of the reason that it feels this way to me is because all of these people are putting their own spin on it, true or not true, but that energy is now connected into it. It could be that that's why I'm feeling this. Is that why I'm feeling this? Yes, to a degree. So if it does get passed, if it does get ratified, then there will be a lot of things that are going to be beneficial, but not near as much as what they originally started with. I guess that's the best way to say it. Okay. I just heard a group of people asking, are the universal beings going to come in? Are they going to bomb places? Is there going to be warfare with the non-terrestrials? There will not be warfare with the non-terrestrials, but there are many, many more that are starting to show themselves in one way or another. It's as if more people are seeing the bigger ships. It's as if more people are seeing. Now, be aware, there's a great deal of AI showing these fake nothingness, and people think, oh my God, that's an ET. It's nothing. It's AI, and it's not good AI. It's done to create fear. Be aware that anyone that does come in, that does either work with one of you, or is working with the governments, or is working with the energy of the planet, they're all here for the betterment of the earth. And so if it's something that causes just grave terror in you or something like that, then be aware that, okay, maybe that's AI. Maybe I'm not going to pay attention to that, because the ones that are interacting with humanity do have the best interest at heart. Okay, I am going to scroll up here and start with those questions that people had turned into the website. What is a bigger picture of the war of the worlds between Mr. P and EM? Oh, okay, Elon Musk. They were on the same team at one point, and is that still the case? What is going on between Mr. T and EM. So this is how people that can have very differing opinions about things can work together. They work together before the election. They work together exposing things through Doge. They've worked together on many projects, even before the last year that you guys are all aware. However, they do have some very different opinions on things. And so what you're seeing as this, some of it was done purposely to try to just to try to get people upset and who do I believe and what do I do. So it was done as kind of a shenanigan type of things. But what is the most recent, it does feel like there are some elemental and basic differences of opinion, and it feels like it's something they both have known about all along. And how it gets resolved, it feels like it will resolve in a way that Elon doesn't get everything, Trump doesn't get everything, that they will come to a compromise. But some of it was for show, but some of this is also, and it's showing the world that you can have two strong people with their own differing opinions that can still work together as needed, and then have their own different opinions. It doesn't mean you shoot them. It doesn't mean you have warfare. It doesn't mean you start riots. This is showing you how you negotiate and how you work with people as you create life in general. Okay. And I would certainly not call it a war. Oh, we already talked about that. Okay, we talked about that. Don't know why it posted it. Oh, for Facebook, for YouTube, it's like it posted it 3 times. Okay, let me just scroll through here and see if I see any other questions. What is the truth? Okay. Is truth that the earth will be divided into 7 economic regions in the future as a part of peace on earth? Okay. There will be a much greater continuity of continents and countries. Whether it's 7, I see the potential for 7, I see the potential for 8. However, we're talking 50 or 100 years in the future. This is not anything imminent. This is not anything that is coming out. And yeah, that is something. I mean, the world used to be separated into much more generalized places, even back during Lemuria and Atlantis. So these very small little segmented is something that's only been the last 2,000 to 3,000 years. So we do see it going back to that as the world begins to feel its own continuity of souls and its continuity of consciousness. Because at that point it will much more so lead back into what it used to be, which is actually the vast majority of time. What you have now is the minority of time. So yes, that is going to change, but I don't see anything. Very minimum 50 years, most likely 75 to 100 years down the road. But that did bring up something else as I was talking about it. Oh, it's in and out. Maybe it'll come up again. Okay. Okay. Let's see what this one is. I took a nap the other day and was woken rather fast by a noise. It took me 20 minutes to actually stop feeling woozy, and I saw a grid of squares and circles on my ceiling for 5 minutes or more. I felt like I was out of body and couldn't really move. It's exactly what was happening. whether it's a nap you take in the middle of the day or it's during your dream state. I believe Brysentia talked about the dream state earlier and the way in which you come in and out of your body. You can leave your body if your consciousness is in the process of doing something or is in the process of looking for information. It might just be going up to, no, it's not going to go to your higher self. It can do that while you're still awake. It's going all the way up to your soul, or it's going out for a specific intention or specific time. How many times do you guys find yourself like in the middle of the day falling asleep for a nap where you're deeply, deeply asleep and then wake up after 15 minutes? Chances are there was something inside of you that needed to be rejuvenated or needed information or needed to have some sort of something that was more than what you could get in your actual day-to-day living. So that's what happened with this individual. And the fact that she saw the geometry on the ceiling was that she was still out in that higher, lighter frequency, and she was integrating it into her in her everyday life. He, I'm not sure what. And this is what you do. You have these experiences that open you up to these higher vibrational frequencies, and then it takes time for you to integrate them and understand what that is all about. So this is but another example of what that is. How do we consciously manipulate the time-space continuum? So be aware, first and foremost, that you cannot manipulate it if the intention is to control and manipulate another person. That's what the nefarious ones were, brilliant at doing, but no longer can that happen. So if you want to change time-space continuum, there are multiple different ways in which you can do it. It's about aligning within yourself, anchoring within your heart center, and then tapping into the energy that's around you. Say, for example, here's one example, and this is something that Shelly actually did a lot when she was younger and first opening up to this. She would be, say, driving to work, and she'd realize, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late for work. I have to be to work at this particular time. And she would get there at that time every time. So she put forth the intention. She tapped into whatever it was, obviously being safe, stopping at red lights, etc. But she put forth a clear intention. She tapped into the energy that was needed, and then the lights just all seemed to be green, or there was no traffic on there and she could drive a little faster. Whatever it was that needed, she shifted the time-space continuum so that she could arrive at work on time. Another way in which many people have done this, and people have talked to Shelly about this, is say you're working on a project and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get this project done. They will tap into whatever the project is. They say, I've got to get this project done. Here's my deadline. And then they might go up into their higher self. And then it's like, zzz, you're literally working in double time. Like as you watch those cameras in double time, you're literally doing it up in your higher self. And then you bring it down into your everyday reality. So you can do it through your consciousness and tapping into the environment around you. You can do it through going up into your higher self. And I'm sure there are many other ways in which you can do it also, but these are just two ways that you can start practicing with it. And I would imagine that each of you on your own can figure out your own way of doing things. So great question. Thank you for asking. I'm getting tired, so this may be this and maybe it. Okay. I saw a bright white light in the early hours of the morning yesterday, and it was so strong it left my eyes sore. I'm in the UK. Did anybody else see it? So the UK is a unique place. They have all the crop circles there, and those crop circles are aligned with, it feels like Pleiadian. They're aligned with a planet that is not, that is part of your galaxy and a part of your solar system, and the individuals come in and out. But it feels as if somehow this is connected to a crop circle, and these beings leaving the earth plane going back up, because they do happen in your nighttime. So it does feel as if it was a universal being or group of them. It feels like actually a group of them, and they just like sent themselves up, and it was this stream of light, the stream of consciousness as they were moving. Most often these individuals move through portals. It's like they go through the opening, nobody sees anything, and they come out the other side. This was very intentionally done because it was like it sent out codes of energy. It sent out activations that people were going through. And so that was very much what that was a part of. So great. We hope that happens more places, do we not? Okay, I think that's close to being done. We're just going to have to bring this over. Thank you so much for sharing this time with us this evening. Know that we are always here in support of you, humanity. Know that we are all in alignment with the universe, and we bring in what we hope is supportive of you, but it is always that of the highest light vibration. You're here in the middle of this trauma and all this change and transformation. So don't forget the bigger picture. Don't forget you have already arrived. Don't forget to remain at peace and balance. Don't forget to disconnect from any trauma drama, and then allow all of this new light energy to keep coming in. And for those of you in Australia, or probably anyone can tap into it, remember, you've got the elders sending out a vibration and a frequency that is going throughout the entire country. Beloved, as always, I thank you for this opportunity on Saluia. Whew, wow. Okay. I think that went all right. That was pretty strange. Trying to read and be here and then read and then go back into channel. So it was a little different. But anyway, I'll get it figured out. Thank you all for being here. I truly appreciate it. And I'll see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.